لكن تحديت الظروف وخضتها وحدي صبورا مستعينا بالصلاة. كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه محن تمر، وكم كرهت مصابها.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. ما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I am pretty much flabbergasted and shocked to the point that today's video would make you feel the same way. I have been quite consistent, I think anyway, when it comes to the neo-Salafis and their poisonous, toxic methodology that I have emphasized is a problem for us, especially in the West. They haven't got much appeal and clout in the Middle East. You know, the da'wah is quite productive. Indoctrination, I would say, in the West, you know, be it America, be it UK, be it Australia. I don't know if it's that common in down under, but in the UK and in America, I know they have their spots where they are, you know, persistent in spreading their dirt and filth. As you're aware, and I'm sure you are, that Dawah Man has, you know, a fair share of his payroll ustads that, you know, help him run his knowledge college, like he likes to label it, and other mediums as well. That, you know, he obviously promotes his courses, and that's his source of income. So the payroll ustads, you know, also profit from this venture as well. Now, recently a brother approached me, and obviously he wishes to remain anonymous, so I will, you know, provide him that courtesy. Has provided me access. Now what I mean access is I haven't actually, you know, taken his details and logged on. He's obviously given me information, i.e., you know, taken screenshots of the clips and the certain courses that he's completed, and I've been able to listen to them fair share, I would say. After editing this video, you know, after adding all the PDFs or whatever, I do it myself personally. I proof watch my videos just to make sure that there's no errors, you know, or if I haven't, you know, said anything out of sorts, because sometimes I do get a bit emotional. But him having this, you know, channel, and he has a team behind him, has editors, and has various payroll ustads under his payroll. I'm sure they must, because, you know, this is the problem, isn't it? He's been allowed to deliver courses. Yes, he has his payroll ustads that have you know, courses that they run and they teach, but it's shocking that he has his own slot. And if he doesn't have his own slot personally, he's also teaching courses with other payroll ustads. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to swear by Allah Azza wa Jal that what I'm going to be reading out is the extract from his courses. Okay, it's an extract from his courses, and everything that I mention will be verbatim. I will be quoting him verbatim, word for word. I won't be putting his clips up because I have no jurisdiction. I have not paid for his course. I did not seek this information. The brother voluntarily provided this information to me. So for the record, I won't be putting your videos up. It's because you had no problem with leaking private emails and the mujtahidun that you had at that time, which we know who they are anyway, it doesn't make a difference, but, you know, it just shows how rotten and toxic and filthy your methodology is, because I've said this for over nearly enough 2 years now, and everyone can see it. You know, people are waking up to your deceit. Another disclaimer, so there's two disclaimers in fact, okay? The super Salafis and the Madakhila are in essence classy takfiris. They are classy takfiris. And my Chain Takfiri Tendencies Part 3 would obviously highlight that chain takfir, or even the forefather of ISIS and the early Najdiya are responsible for that, this wave. So what they are in actual fact a closet takfiri. So those who they oppose, you'll see in this video that they're no different. They are no different. Trust me, they are no different. As you can see on screen, you have Dawah Man delivering a course on the 10 nullifiers of Islam, written by Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahmatullah alayh. And this is 3.1. Now what it means by 3.1 is that the 10 nullifiers of Islam obviously are separated in different sections. So you got nullifier 1, 2, 3 up until 10. So he's discussing nullifier 3, okay? And the title is Not Doing Takfir on the Mushrikeen. Now I need to ask the following questions here. Honestly, I need to address this because it needs clarification. Who gave you the right to teach such a very delicate topic of the nullifiers of Islam? Who gave you that right? Because the nullifiers of Islam, I believe that it should not have been translated into the English language. Because people read the nullifiers of Islam and then they just go out and issue takfir on X, Y, and Z because of their overzealousness and their misunderstanding. Now, to the payroll ustad, did you give him permission to teach this course? Not to give you some education, because your payroll ustads are indoctrinated. They won't tell you this. When Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab mentioned this nullifier, so before going into who he was applied to and who Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahmatullah alayhi was referring to, let's go into the text itself. Okay, so as you can see on screen, see the third nullifier, الثالث, number 3, من لم يكفر المشركين, whoever does not make takfir of the mushrikeen, أو شك في كفرهم, or doubts in their kufr, okay, أو صحح مذهبهم كفر, that whoever does not make takfir of the mushrikeen. Now who are these mushrikeen? Okay, that's what we're going to get to once I finish up the translation. Or doubts in their kufr. So whoever does not make takfir against the mushrikeen, or doubts in their kufr, or corrects their madhab, or agrees to their madhab, has committed kufr, meaning he's left the fold of al-Islam. Just to educate you and your payroll ustad, when Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab says man lam yukaffir al-mushrikeen or shakka fi kufrihim, that whoever does not make takfir of the mushrikeen or doubts in their kufr, number 1, he's talking about the Ottoman Empire, and number 2 is those Arabian tribes that don't make takfir of them, and then those Arabian tribes who don't make takfir of those Arabian tribes. And in part 3, I will show you how Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab's methodology in takfir and how he propagated his takfir. He is the forefather of ISIS. Why didn't you teach your audience about this? Because you try to water it down. That's what it was. You try to water it down. Now, as I stated earlier, and I alluded to earlier, that these super Salafis and Madakhili are no different to the takfiris. They're closet takfiris. All of them. Every single one of them. From the payroll ustads to the juhala as well. They're closet takfiris. Very, very deceptive. At least the takfiris who are the closest to the teachings or manhaj of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and the early Najdiya, they come out openly with no hesitation, no fear. They say, yeah, kafir, kafir, man lam yukaffir hada shaks, anta kafir. You understand? They're very clear in their takfir. Whereas these guys try to water it down, and it's just a heretical version. What they're following today is not what Muhammad Abdul Wahhab was propagating. Let me assure you of that. So that's wanted to get that out there. I've got an Ibana here to show you that the rhetoric that Dawah Man spews is exactly, if not identical, to what the Takfiris promote as well. Wait for it. Now, I'm going to quote Dawah Man verbatim. Okay, I'm going to quote him verbatim in terms of the ridiculous statements he makes to show you him and his payroll ustads are closet takfiris. Anyway, let's read what he said. Okay, so basically, and this is from 2 minutes and 51 seconds. Okay, this is from 2 minutes and 51 seconds. He says, if you don't say the Jew is a kafir, if you don't say the one who is a Hindu is a kafir, if you don't say the Brelwi is a kafir, you don't say the Rafid that the Shia are kuffar. For this you can become a kafir, because you know why? They do clear-cut shirk. Okay, what they do is clear-cut shirk. Okay, so that's minute 251, it starts off. So Dawah Man was explaining 3.1, not doing takfir on the mushrikeen, which is the third nullifier of the Islam. Man lam yukaffir al-mushrikeen aw shakka fi kufrihim. That whoever does not make takfir on the mushrikeen and doubts in their kufr. So whoever does not make takfir, and then those who doubt in their kufr. So it's not referring to the Yahuda and Nasara. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, when he was writing this passage, he was not referring to the Jews and the Christians and the Mulhideen, etc., etc. He's referring to the Arabian tribes and the Ottoman Empire. So whoever does not make takfir, so for certain tribes they make takfir of the Ottoman Empire, so they were kuffar. Man lam yukaffir al-mushrikeen. You see, man lam yukaffir al-mushrikeen aw shakka fi kufrihim. So those Arabian tribes that had shak, who did not make takfir, okay, who did not make takfir of the Ottoman Empire for whatever reason, they were kafir. And then in part 3 you see that Muhammad Abdul Wahhab slaughtered not just based on those who were worshipping trees and stones. It was those Arabian tribes who did not even worship trees and stones, but they were also legitimate targets because of this principle. So this principle was applied on Muslims, let's put it that way. Now, to explain where Dawah Man has gone really wrong here, once we understand that many practices of the Brelwiya have elements of shirk in there, no doubt about it, and no one could hide that, in terms of their calling upon Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, etc., calling upon him mubasharatan, la ya ghawth, adrikni, adrikni, or face towards Baghdad. We know these extreme Brelvis have this, very, very, troubling ritual that they have. But you have to remember that he's equating the Brelvi with the Hindu. You see, so there's a kafir asli, okay, there's a kafir asli. Okay, and then you got the Yahud who are kuffar, asli, they're different. And what he's doing is he's tying in the Brelwi or the Brelviyun with them. So that's takfir, like that. Someone who doubts their kufr, okay, is a kafir, according to you, based on this nullifier. Now, how have you come to this conclusion? So any Brelvi that walks on the street, to you he's a kafir. To you, based on your statement here, he's judged with kufr straight away. He's a kafir. He's not even Muslim in the first place. So any Brelvi that calls himself a Brelvi is a kafir. Okay? They're all kuffar. Okay? Where have you got this from? Again, that's what I'm saying. Closet takfiri. You guys are takfiriyun. You guys are takfiriyun. Simple. So let's go to the next part now. So if you think this is bad enough, okay, let me read out what he says in another clip. So under minute 14 and 18 seconds, Dawah Man says, okay, if your Deobandi Imam is a kafir, but he might be, but we don't do takfir based on doubt, but the higher up the ladder you go, the more they'll tell you. They hide it. And then he talks about the attributes and the signs of the people of Bid'ah. He said they hide their beliefs, etc. Now, look at this takfiri, or this closet takfiri right here. If you're and he's explaining, again, I have to stress on this point. This ignoramus is teaching the Nawaqid al-Islam. He is teaching Nawaqid al-Islam. To the payroll ustads, shame on you. Uqsumu billah al-azim, aib alaykum. Shame on you for allowing this. Or if you didn't allow it, to even be part of this individual's knowledge college. You are bearing, or you will bear, the responsibility of this person's injustices and misguidance. You guys will bear it. For what? A pittance. A small change. Okay? You're banking off your knowledge. All you payroll ustads, you're banking off your knowledge. Okay? Now, your Deobandi Imam could be a kafir. So he treats the Deobandi Imams as kuffar. Okay? So the Deobandi who calls himself a Deobandi, any Deobandi Imam who calls himself a Deobandi, according to Dawah Man, because the higher up the ladder you go, the more they hide. So they themselves, obviously, are kuffar. Okay? Because he says we don't make takfir on doubt, but the higher up the ladder you go, the more you know, the more they tell you. So he's generalized, because he's explaining the Nawaqid al-Islam, let's just put it out there, he's explaining the Nawaqid al-Islam, and he's just been quick with his takfir. Now your Deobandi Imam might be a kafir, might be a kafir, might be, he might be, Look at that. This is how he's explaining the Nawaqid al-Islam. This one's going to shock you the most, so pay attention to this. This is going to really shock you. Okay, he's explaining, okay, Hululiyya, those obviously beliefs that where Allah, according to certain people, dwells in His creation. Okay, and when explaining this, he says, and then he speaks about the Christians where they believe that Isa alayhi salam was God. So obviously God entered into His creation. So then now I'm quoting him verbatim. He says, the fact you believe Allah and the human are the same. Okay, so he's talking about obviously the Christian belief. Then he says, there is a group that believes this, they are called the Deobandis. Okay, there's a group that believes this, they are called the Deobandis. Okay, so again, just to add, not a Deobandi, Hanafi Athari. Now, one can say that there are certain fanaticism amongst Deobandis. There certain issues in connection to their extremism to the Hanafi fiqh and the elders and the akabir. That's fine, we could critique that, and Sheikh Muqbil wrote a nice piece about the Tabligh Jamaat, etc. So you could critique them. Yeah, there's some issues, no doubt about it. The Ash'ari as well. Now, again, I'm not an Ash'ari, and I oppose them, or the Maturidi more or less. So I don't agree with them on that. But to say that the Deobandis believe that Allah and the human are the same, Wallah, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. And remember, again, he's explaining the Nawaqid al-Islam. And these are the examples he's promoting. Okay? Shocking. Qazi Takfiri. All of these payroll ustads, if they don't believe this, then they should be the first people to protest about these videos being uploaded, and how many thousands of people who've got access and who are paid members have got access to these videos and they're listening to this. Imagine how many of those paid members actually take this information and really apply it. Think about that for a second. How many innocent Muslims that genuinely sign up to their course sincerely, or their courses sincerely, seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure, to seek knowledge so that they could better understand the deen of Islam, and they're hearing this and they're exposed to this vulgar filth that's just exited this fraud's mouth, and he's charging you for this. He's charging you. He's actually acquiring wealth, and more so, he's teaching the course when he's got no qualifications to do so. He's teaching, and this is not the only course he teaches, by the way, and we're going to get to that as well, what he's been teaching, and the payroll ustads that he's been teaching these courses with, whether they're old or they're new, regardless, they're still up there, because the brother has accessed it. He's accessed it, and he can see it. They're still up there. He can click the button, he can listen to it. Now, getting back to this Qazi Takfiri Dawah Man. Okay, let me show you when he was trying to explain the Nawaqid al-Islam, and the Takfiriyun also use this rhetoric as well. Now I'm saying, look at the similarities. So let's just go into a statement that the Takfiris obviously used against me, which I'm going to respond to their PDF. I'm going to respond to that as well. So obviously don't think I haven't forgot part 3, we covered that. So as you can see, I got in my hand Al-Ibanatu. So as you can see on screen, we've got a statement from Yazid bin Harun. And Yazid bin Harun says, Man qala, whoever says, Al-Qur'anu makhluq, whoever says the Qur'an is created, فهو كافر, he is a kafir. Whoever does not make takfir of him, فهو كافر, and he is a kafir. Whoever does not make takfir of that person who says that the Quran is created, he is a kafir. And man shakka fi kufrihi, and whoever doubts his kufr, meaning the one that obviously says al-khalq al-Quran. So the one that doesn't do it is a kafir, and whoever doubts in that person, okay, فهو كافر, he's a kafir as well. So as you can see, al-Ibana. Okay, Al-Ibanatu by Ibn Battah. So this statement here, what we would say is that it's been overly simplified by the Najdiyya, by the Neo-Salafis, overly simplified. Okay, the statement has basis, but it's been overly simplified. And to the point is that these were the Mu'tazila, the heads of Al-Bidah. So Let's see who used this statement. Okay, as you can see on screen, we've got an article from the Takfiriyun, okay, who were kind of bothered by my videos, who were declared Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab the forefather of ISIS. So, like I said, they're the true followers of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, so they naturally came to his defense. But we're going to respond to this article and another one as well in part 3. And as you can see, the statement there, and Yazid bin Harun died 206, said, whoever said the Quran is created is a kafir, and whoever does not declare takfir of him or doubts his kufr is a kafir. While explaining this principle, okay, or this statement of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, which he has no business in doing, I don't know how that video got uploaded onto his channel without being checked, without being reviewed by the payroll ustads, because it has to be reviewed. He is a jahil and he shouldn't be teaching these courses, but yet it's been uploaded and these sort of statements have been added. But you're the same person that accused the Prophet ﷺ of shirk. Okay, so forget everyone else. The Barelvis are no problem. You've accused the Prophet ﷺ of shirk, man. You see my point when I say they closet takfiris. They follow the same path. It's just one is more braver than the other. The other is just an utter coward. I mean, Dawah Man co. They're just that they wouldn't want to come out openly and say it. But the takfiris say, yeah, and what? Yeah, you're kafir, you're kafir, you're kafir, this chain takfir. But Dawah Man and co, you see how they subtly do it. Okay, now let's go into this. Let's just finish off to show you what Dawah Man has been allowed to teach, okay, under the supervision of the payroll ustad. The final ruqya taught by Imran bin Mansour, aka Dawah Man. This is a practical ruqya course going through instructions on how to perform ruqya and also discussing the characteristics needed from the patient and the exorcist. $14.99 excluding VAT. Okay, $14.99 excluding VAT. The final ruqya. Okay. Allah Azim, how is it possible, or how is it even allowed for him to be teaching ruqya? It was bad enough him teaching the nawaqid al-Islam, the nullifiers of Islam. Yet Dawah Man teaches this course. And let's carry on to show you what else he's been teaching. Okay? The Jack of all ilm, master of none. My big fat Muslim wedding, taught by Imran bin Mansour, aka Dawah Man. In this course you will learn about intimacy. Okay, he's going to learn about intimacy. Dawah Man is going to teach you about intimacy. Okay, no problem. And the wedding night, the wedding party, walima, the marriage contract, and more. Now, don't you think that's a job of a faqih? The one that's learnt about the rulings when it comes to intimacy. Now, there's no shyness in Islam. There's limits, but there's no shyness. You could speak about this matter. But he's going to be teaching about intimacy and the wedding night. Like intimacy. Like, who are you to teach about intimacy, mate? Like, where have you got this courage from? How dare you even approach or volunteer yourself to be teaching such matters about intimacy and the wedding night and the marriage contract? Like, what, you're going to go to the books of fiqh? Are you going to be teaching about the aqd? Are you going to be teaching about the rulings about nikah? And akhi, who are you, bro? Like, who the hell are you? Now, to the payroll ustad, are you giving him legitimacy to teach these courses? You've allowed him and given him the green light to teach these courses? Like, la ilaha illallah, ittaqillah. Honestly, why are you playing at? What kind of joke is this? Wedding night and intimacy. Ibn al-Qayyim said that women shouldn't be on the top. Are you going to be teaching people that? Are you going to be teaching people about sexual positions? And what's allowed and what's not allowed? And even then, it's not a problem for a woman to be on top. But you're going to be teaching your bloody... imagine someone taking his course and he's writing notes and Dawah Man says, Ustad Dawah Man, the doctor in, sexual matters, that, okay, my students, on the wedding night, I know you're going to be very excited. I know it's going to be, you're going to be very nervous because it's your first night with your wife. You want to impress and you want to obviously show that you're a man, you're a rajula. But I'll have to give you some practical tips of what's permissible and what's not permissible, what's makruh, what's mubah, what's mustahab, etc., etc. Giving these, nice terminologies to the potential grooms, and then they're writing this down, and then all the anticlimax, they're getting happy, they're learning all this information from Ustad Dawah Man about intimacy on the first night with your beloved wife, and then all of a sudden Dawah Man, in the center of the class says, okay then brothers, but you shouldn't perform sex with your wife while she's on top. I feel sorry for those people who took that course, honestly. I'll be literally, I'll be crying. I'll be literally in tears if that man was my ustad telling me this stuff. La ilaha illallah. I gotta add a bit of comedy into this. And to top this up as well, okay, you've got the Aqidah and Manhaj bundle. Wow, bloody hell, it's like Vodafone and EE, you know, giving you like extra data and bundles and stuff. And you know, I don't want to mention the payroll ustads names, but they're all there. It's going to be there's various payroll ustads that are on there, and obviously Dawah Man is one of the teachers as well. But basically, this is, you know, where he's making his bread and butter from. You know, teaching courses. Look, I just find it shocking that those who are around him haven't, you know, put their brakes on and planted their foot and said, no, Dawah Man, you shouldn't be teaching these courses. You know, anyone with common sense will be like, this is unacceptable, Dawah Man. You know, and I assure you, after this video, everyone else will be feeling the same as well. On top of him being, you know, Dr. Phil and Oprah and Jeremy Kyle and Jerry Springer, you know, he's teaching you about the intimacy, you know what I mean, about intimacy on the first night. Even prior to that, okay, he is the ambassador for a certain marriage matrimonial site. Now, I don't want to give them any clout because they don't pay me, they pay him. But yeah, he's one of the ambassadors for this marriage matrimonial site. I feel sorry for these potential brides and grooms, honestly. Well, you know what Dawah Man is, on top of being, you know, the master of intimacy and, you know, ruqya and talking about iman or kufr, you know, subhanallah. Guess what else Dawah Man dabbles into? Okay, look on screen. Dawah Man is a marriage coach. Can you believe that nonsense? Marriage coaching with Dawah Man. Look at him. Hi, honey. This includes personal marriage meeting training. Help if you're confused about your profile or potential's profile. Giving pre-marriage advice before, during, and after the meeting process, all the way into your nikah. Okay, Dawah Man. You're doing all that, eh? So imagine Dawah Man. Let's just put it this way. Imagine Dawah Man talking to a potential brother, okay, who's obviously, you know, interested in his sister. So he approaches Dawah Man. God only knows why. Why would you want to approach him? You know what I mean? It's better off talking to your brick wall. So he comes to Dawah Man, and Dawah Man obviously, or picks up the phone or whatever. It's been locked down, so he can't come to him. So he phones Dawah Man. Dawah Man answers the phone and he says, Assalamu alaikum. You know, we've got to emphasize in the ayn zended in the tabdi'. So he goes, Assalamu alaikum akhi, kayf halak, atamanna anta bikhair. I hope you are well. Indi su'al ya sheikh. You know, I have a question, sheikh. I'm thinking about marrying his sister, Dawah Man, ustad. And, you know, I don't really know, you know, whether she's the right one. So what's Dawah Man going to do? Dawah Man's going to click on the profile. That's all the data that he needs. Okay, akhi, listen to me. You know, sisters, yeah. You know, sisters, akhi. You know, matting in the masjid. You've got to be very, very careful, akhi. You know, this is a lifetime commitment. Don't rush it, akhi. You understand? Don't rush it, akhi. You know, be careful with the tongue. And you have to be very, very smart. You know, you've got your whole life ahead of you, akhi. What do you think, akhi? You know, just shut up! You shut up! Now, I'm getting to the real issue now. This is a real issue. Serious now. Game face on. All seriousness. The ones that are active in da'wah. The ones who are active in da'wah. Your silence is acceptance. And if you do not speak out and put your foot down and move your tongues where it matters, I am absolutely certain that you guys are Hizbis. You guys who associate with Neo-Salafism, Pseudo-Salafism, Najdiyah, you guys are part of the problem. Look what I've presented. How dare he dabble in such matters? And what's worse is under the nose of the payroll ustad. Under the nose of the payroll ustad, he is teaching such courses and even such delicate matters like intimacy, like sex, and everything else that is connected to it. And just say, for argument's sake, he doesn't listen. That's enough evidence for you to disassociate with that freak and warn against him. Because if he's not listening to payroll ustads, then you've got no worth. You've got no value. You have to get your priorities in order. Are you banking off your knowledge? Let's just say it as it is. Are you banking off your knowledge? Is that what it is? You know, you've gone and studied, and now obviously it's time to reap the rewards and and extract the fruits. You know, is that what it is? If that's the case, then carry on. But I tell you, it's a short-term gain. It's a short-term gain. You'd rather work with an honest living than be a hostage to a person who doesn't respect ilm, who doesn't respect the Islamic sciences. But it's you people that allow him or even give him legitimacy, because in those courses he's teaching them as well, along with you. So it must be coordinated. You must be agreeing with him that he teaches this, you teach that. So you're the problem. You guys are the problem. So you could blame him all you want. You could say, oh, we give him advice, but if he's not listening to your advice, then that's not the type of person that you should be connected with. And then you should make it apparent that this person doesn't value ilm, doesn't take ilm seriously. And like Muhammad bin Sirin said, it's in the Muqaddimah of Sahih Muslim, Muhammad bin Sirin rahmatullah alayhi said, Inna hada al-ilm din, that in this matter, in this religion is knowledge. So beware of who you take knowledge from. So you guys being learnt, shouldn't you bring this statement of the Salaf, as you take it as revelation anyway, shouldn't you be applying this? And letting the people know that this person is incapable, and he's arrogant, and he's rude, and he doesn't value, and he doesn't give ilm its appropriate right. But yeah, no, silence. Zip. Alright then peeps, that's it for today's video. Subhanallah al-Azim. Future videos, inshallah, are going to be hard hitting, I assure you. And just pray for me, keep me your du'as, and I'll just ask you to keep praying for me, because we do it for lillah, and then we do it to educate you, to keep you away from these charlatans. And as you've just watched, you've seen how they just play with the religion of the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they need to be warned against, unfortunately for them, providing I'm around, and the brothers that give me support, will be consistently highlighting your flaws and your lack of respect to the divine sciences. Okay, so take care of yourselves. وصلى على نبينا محمد.
كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه، محن تمر وكم كرهت مصابها، لكن رأيت الخير يسكب في أنا. كم مرة قد ضقت من عظم البلاء، بشر وشيطان يحاصرني أباه. كم مرة قد أظلم الدرب ضحى، وتحدر الدمع وضاقت بي رؤى. كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه، محن تمر وكم كرهت